Hi, this is Professor Nugent. I wanted to just take some time to go over the latest two case studies that you submitted. I have just finished grading cases 3 and 4, and the responses overall I'm very happy with. Students really seem to be taking a lot of my comments that I've left for the previous cases they worked on and incorporating some good research, incorporating some very well thought out answers, using a lot of analysis. I'm hoping to see in the last two cases a little bit more of some of the strategic tools and ideas we've learned in the two textbooks we're using for this class. So in the last two cases, I want you to tie it all together and bring me, your, most importantly, I like it when you have your own ideas and your own solutions to some of these questions and problems in these case studies that you use outside research to help support your ideas, and also use a construct or a framework of ideas or basic concepts from the textbooks to help also support your ideas and solutions. I know a lot of the questions are direct questions related to the company or case, but there's always room for you to add your personal feelings, ideas, and solutions into the case, and that's really where I get to see you thinking as a strategic manager or corporate strategies can be displayed, and I can really see your growth and your progress and your ability to think about these business problems and come up with solutions. So these cases are really about developing you as an analyst. So they're real world problems. I try to keep the cases to companies and ideas that are related to the coursework and you're familiar with, so I can really see as what I want to see, I hope to see, is as you're growing with the course, you're reading the material, listening to the lectures, you're able to think in a more strategic and tactical way for these companies and come up with strategies and ideas that will help really propel these companies to future success and maximize shareholders' wealth. Now, it's something that it definitely does take practice and does take a different way of thinking. For example, when I go into the mall, I'm not thinking I want to buy this or I want to look in this store. I'm thinking, I'm critically analyzing the strategic layout of the stores, where the departments are located, what the price points are, what their end cap displays, type of people who are shopping there. Like, it's just almost ruins if I'm with anybody shopping, they get very disappointed because all I'm talking about is, oh, look how busy this store is, and the type of merchandise they have on display, and they really changed up their strategy and how they're marketing to people, and look at the different customers in here. So a lot of people don't like to go shopping with me, but I love going to the mall or any store and really looking at trying to see their strategy firsthand. I mean, it's been interesting to look at stores like JCPenney's over the last couple of years as their new management company. I forgot the name of the guy, but he was hired away from Apple. He started the Apple stores, and he was trying to apply a similar approach to JCPenney's and changed around their advertising strategies, their layout, their interior of the store, and actually failed miserably. His strategic ideas just didn't work for retail apparel as they did for technology store like Apple. So this something I'm working on in the future case for the next semester of this class. But these are where I come up with these cases. I go to these stores, I'm involved in these businesses, and I think, wow, something's really changing here. I want to research it more. So I go in and find a couple of articles, and I do some research, and I think of questions that I want to answer to you, so I could slowly turn you into somebody like me who is constantly looking at corporate policies, procedures, and strategy, and analyzing them and thinking about, was that smart? How did it work out? And this type of mind is what the MBA is all about, developing you into a person where you come out of this MBA program and you're just, full of all this business knowledge and all these, not just the terminologies, but really how they interconnect and relate to each other. And you go into a business, you're not just thinking, I want to have lunch. You're thinking, wow, look at this new product assortment. Look at how the time frame, how they're deploying it, and how the company is operating, and the types of customers they're attracting, and how busy it is, and how looking at competitors and how they're responding. this is what I'm seeing more and more of in some of your casework. And I'm happy to say that for most students in this class, I've seen a dramatic increase in performance in your written abilities from looking, remember, and that's one of the, I guess, advantages of, sort of this 3-week time period. Your case 1 and 2 are still fresh in my memory, so I'm looking at cases 3 and 4. I could really see a personal growth in your writing ability, your research ability, the way you're connecting the ideas together, and just I think the practice of doing so many cases in a short while. You're really getting good at putting your ideas together and presenting them. And the citations are good, so you're really developing into a pretty strong graduate level writer, which is one of my goals for this class. Is I want to make sure that your writing ability matches a graduate MBA level, which for some students, when I see them come into the course, their writing ability, it looks like you haven't been challenged much, and I want to make sure that you get a little challenge in this class, and that you really produce some great work. And some students just blow me away with how they put their casework together. Just so much extra effort and time, and such well thought out and researched responses. I'm astonished at some of, a few of the students in this class are really above and beyond my expectations. And of course, I have a few students that need a little encouragement and have been catching up a great deal. So I'm hoping by the end of the class, the last case I look at, everybody's sort of at this higher level. Now I realize with this shorter period of this class that it's difficult to get all this work done at the level you're happy with. So I understand if the time is difficult the way this class is laid out, but this is something that we're all dealing with, including myself. It's been, I think, a lot of work on everybody, but it's well worth it, because I think we're all learning a great deal here, and we're all progressing in our abilities. So let's look at these two cases. Okay, so McDonald's, a very interesting case. It's one of the bigger cases, and there's five questions here that I wanted you to think about. Now, McDonald's has gone through a huge change over the past 13 years. Now, of course, I pick a company like McDonald's because we're all familiar with it. Even though most people in their papers claimed never to eat fast food, you're still familiar with McDonald's because you may not eat fast food, but certainly if you have any child in your life, you're going to McDonald's because they're very good at capturing that youth audience and having them bug you till they'll take you to McDonald's to get that toy or that sundae or whatnot. But so the first question, one student actually said they made a special trip to go to McDonald's just so they could answer this question. And I had to laugh. I mean, that was going a little above and beyond, but I appreciated it. And I think, though, for all of us, I have a good memory of McDonald's back into the 80s. I mean, I actually worked for them while I was in high school for 9 months, and I learned a great deal from this company. Although the job was embarrassing to have, I really grew to respect their policies and procedures. And I mean, they're just a phenomenal company. And there has been some great signs of improvement in their food and the quality of their store. You can see here on the menu, there's some more healthier varieties, like they have oatmeal, there's parfait, salads. So McDonald's has come a long way on their menu as far as developing their items. They have the oatmeal now, which I actually do like. I mean, if you get it without the brown sugar, it's relatively healthy. It's just fruit and fiber and oats. So they've been trying to become healthier, but they still have their delicious items. This is oh my God, can you imagine this hotcakes breakfast? Look at this. How many calories could this be? I gotta go back. Oh, nutrition. Let's see, only 1,000 calories. Wow, you can have 2 of these in one day and still be okay, but don't eat anything else. So, McDonald's is quite interesting, and they've actually at one point, if you read all the articles I gave, and I think one of them, I read a lot of articles about McDonald's. I'm not sure if I included this one, but they actually hired a chef to redesign and repackage their foods, and like the chicken sandwich and the snack wraps, and they really are trying to step up their food experience. And back in 10 years or so ago, when they weren't doing well, they stopped and they said, listen, what is our business about? And they finally focused on, our business is about serving food and great food, and we have to refocus and rework on what we're offering to people, because the food we have is not really exciting anymore and we're losing sales. So we have to come up with a new approach. So they've been trying to repackage their foods on a few different fronts, from their new cafe to their new healthier items to the new redesigned sandwiches and drinks. So overall, I definitely notice a better improvement of the experience here. Now the firm actually has been prospering for a good 7 to 10 years now, since they've made a lot of these critical changes and deployed them. And their competitive advantage, once they really realized they had to focus on their food quality and offerings and appearance and taste, and they redesigned their menus and they redesigned a lot of their food that they offer, they started to do very well. When they realized that they're going to focus, they cut away a lot of distractions that they had. They sold other businesses such as Boston Market, which they owned for a while. They sold that. They sold out of their stake in Chipotle Mexican Grill. So they really focused on the core brand of McDonald's, and they also had a pizza restaurant they sold. So they broke away from trying to diversify to really focusing on McDonald's itself. And they made sizable gains in their offerings, and they also redesigned the menu. No longer did they have the super giant sizes and the really unhealthy portions. I remember there was a big push. This was a while ago, but it used to be McDonald's had everything in styrofoam, and they switched at one point to paper wraps and cardboard burger containers. So they've really been trying for a while to think ahead and become a better company. And certainly by going 24 hours in a lot of locations, they were able to increase their same store sales dramatically by just focusing on utilizing the assets they had on a more continual basis. So McDonald's has prospered. I mean, the cornerstone of their competitive strategy is really produce the best foods possible. That's fast, affordable, friendly, and also, one of their really, the strategic temptations they have to resist is taking, and this has been a problem for fast food in general, is a lot of these fast food companies, and I saw this specifically at Wendy's, they took a lot of quality out of their food to reduce the cost to be able to sell it on a dollar menu, to be able to sell it for less or have more promotions. And I remember when I was younger, the Wendy's chicken sandwich used to be the patty used to be so thick, the filet used to be so thick and juicy, and now it's really greatly reduced size and quality of a lot of their items. And that's one of the temptations, and that's something McDonald's fell victim to for a while, where they were cutting out, or shrinking the size or reducing the contents of their food to try to make a value menu, which never really worked as well for them. And so I think their competitive strategy now is really building on their strong brand name and refocusing on the food and giving people quality and what they're paying for. Now, the prices at McDonald's are more expensive than most fast food restaurants, but that's because they decided strategically to, okay, we'll charge a higher price for our menu items, but we'll give them more and better quality, and more food. So that's what I think about that question. Now, McDonald's is, question 4 is looking, how do they maintain their competitive advantage? And I think one of the great things McDonald's does is see, what competitors inside and outside the fast food industry are chipping away at their customers. And they saw Starbucks as a big competitive threat and really look to cannibalize Starbucks' coffee business and specialty drink business by starting their cafe line. I think they also know that that with children is a strong competitive advantage for them. They have a good identity with their characters and with their foods to attract and bring children into their restaurant. And I think it's just a really long history of experience that they can draw on to propel their competitive advantage forward. I mean, they're number one for a reason, and sort of like a Coca-Cola, they really can leverage on their strengths. Now, as far as McDonald's competing in Asia, it's a different business model than in North America, because Asian food tastes are different. The way the restaurants can be designed, and the type of cost points and the competition overseas, and the also disposable income. These are all different, and their strategic targets have to be different per each country they go into. And they could be going into a country like China that has a very strong presence of KFC, but they still have to, when they're new, they still have to go in there and fight for their market share. And there was one article, if we look at the articles, we could see that, in this article about McDonald's hits the spot, they do a nice overview of the different products when they were introduced and how successful they were. And they're talking about, delivering, something they definitely don't do here, but McDonald's doing delivery in Asia, and how it's becoming an important part as they look to other companies like KFC that have really expanded in these foreign markets. They want to be a part of it, and they want to maintain this business. In some markets, they realize that they're going to have to deliver. It's not the drive-through culture we have in the United States, that some places really, they could pick up a lot of business by delivering, something they don't really do here in the States. Now, a lot of companies have had great success in expanding overseas, and McDonald's certainly has in certain countries, but other countries, they're more new to it, and they're working out strategies to do that. I know that in Europe, they certainly were trying to downplay the American look of McDonald's and make it fit more like a cafe or a pub, and have less of that, sort of plasticky McDonald's feel that we have in a lot of the restaurants that are recognizable when we drive around here. So I think in a lot of foreign countries, they're trying to play not only to more local taste, but also more local architectural design, and downplaying, their McDonald's, but it's really not in-your-face McDonald's. So because there's sometimes resentment. McDonald's gets linked up to the United States, so when there's anti-American sentiments, McDonald's sometimes are, attacked, firebombed, or boycotted. So I think McDonald's is making an effort to try to make themselves a global company, not a United States company. So here's, I guess, example of someone delivering from McDonald's. So then a new look for McDonald's. I guess this is talking about the different locations. So a lot of good articles here. Global redesign of the restaurants, and that's one very important strategy that McDonald's has, is they keep their restaurants fresh. They work with the franchisors to encourage and sometimes force them to remodel and update their stores, so everything looks new and fresh and redone, because a restaurant that gets remodeled, can sometimes double their business. People don't like going to restaurants that look old and worn out and kind of dirty. So this has been a key advantage of the success, is constantly updating the interiors of their restaurants, as one of their strategic strong points. Okay, this is the articles about McDonald's coffee, which is, I'm not a big fan of McDonald's coffee, but some of their coffee drinks are not bad. I've had a few of them. Certainly when I don't feel like paying $5 for a cup of coffee, I'll go to McDonald's, because it's $1 for any size. They've been running for a while. It's all about the McCafe here. Okay, so a nice amount of articles here, but McDonald's this is the type of case where there's so much outside additional research and an ability for you to really brainstorm. So some of these questions, when I ask you, direct questions, feel free to inject some of your ideas and your potential strategies and solutions to some of McDonald's problems, or almost as if, I know it's too late to do it for this case, but some of the cases coming up, you could really think about. If I was working for this corporation, this is how I would solve the problem, or something that I would think that the company should be trying. So, okay, so let's move on to another case, and then McDonald's website isn't too bad, and I'm just looking at it real quick here. It is kind of scary when you look at something new that's happened in the restaurant field. Has been here they're advertising favorites under 400 calories. This is, that it's making it scary to almost eat out these days, because when you look at these menus and you see the calorie content and sodium content in some of these menus, um, it makes me not order things. There's been a number of times I've looked, at different restaurants, and I've seen the calorie content, and I just can't order something that's 1,500 calories as an entree. It's just ridiculous, what these companies do. So I'm hoping that that law, that's I think just New York State, when they put in these nutritional contents in, that we get a much better feel for what we're consuming, and make choices where we say no to items that are just really bad for us, and hopefully that will help change the menu in these places pretty quickly. Take the quiz. I don't want to take the quiz. Let's see. Said about me. I would say that they have 18 grams of protein. All right, so that's not so bad. All right, so let's switch over to Apple, and we're talking about the iPad mini. So this is a case on the iPad mini. And now this is a very timely case, and something I know everybody's been, not everybody owns an iPad or iPhone, but people have been, inundated with, everybody's certainly hopefully been to the store, or used a friend's, or looked at one, or at least seen the advertisements. And the iPad mini is a new product from Apple. Although I just was reading something where iPad's coming out with a new iPhone that's going to be for the less expensive market. So they certainly are, in an effort to expand sales and reach and market share, they definitely are making these newer products like the Mini and this new iPhone that's going to be catered to less expensive additions of their family, to hopefully expand their reach. So if we look at the Apple case, how does the iPad mini differ from the iPad? And a lot of people, it's pretty straightforward questions, and a lot of people went to the website or different articles to get a distinct edition. And I think, the big difference is size. A lot of the functionality and a lot of the apps and stuff, as seen in this commercial, they're trying to make it seem like the two products are, similar in most ways, that there's almost interchangeable. So the two products, so the big difference, there's a lot of technical differences between the two, although they seem very similar to one another. All right. So the question is, why did they release an iPad mini, especially since there's been talk in the past that they wouldn't do that, where they didn't want to do that. And clearly here there's a good opportunity in this question to look at some of the ideas and concepts in the Kellogg's on Strategy textbook, which I sometimes nickname the Red Ocean book. Some frameworks and tools that could explain Apple's strategy. And then the basic strategy here is they look at the success of the Kindle Fire, the success of the Nexus 7, and they say, listen, clearly people want a more smaller, more portable device, and we're not offering it, and we're losing out to these competitors. So let's make it. And much of what this decision may have been held up by Steve Jobs at one point, but now that he's not around, they're more easier to make decisions like this. And of course, I definitely feel there were some disadvantages, of the minis being so similar to the regular iPad that users who have the regular iPad may not be so convinced that they need a mini. So they're not going to get, people who have an iPad usually also have an iPhone. But I don't think you're going to find many people who have an iPhone, an iPad mini, and a full-size iPad. So this is going to be, if the iPad mini had something more unique about it, some more features or something about it that you couldn't get on the regular iPad besides the size, it may have been a stronger sell. And I'm afraid that Apple may just be trading off new customers. Instead of buying the new iPad, more expensive, larger iPad, will just trade down to the more inexpensive mini. But I guess what Apple is saying is that if like a lot of you pointed out in your papers, that if the choice is they don't want to lose the customer to the Nexus 7 or the Kindle, having a Mini is critical for their strategic the strategy of continually increasing sales and profits. And the price points, many people did come up with articles on the exact price points of the Mini, and were surprised that the price of it wasn't cheaper. It wasn't directly same price as the the Mini of the Nexus 7, which the entry point is I think $199. They came in a lot higher, but I think that's always been Apple's strategy, is to have a higher price point because they believe their products deserve it. Whether this was a right or wrong decision, here's an example where you could really look at some of your personal thoughts and feelings and analysis, as well as a lot of things in the Kellogg's strategy about pricing behavior and pricing position that you could have added to that question, which not every student did. So finally, were the analysts disappointed? And I think it seems like with every new Apple product, there's a group of people who are disappointed. So people had no problem finding a number of disappointed analysts to talk about this product. And I mean, time will tell if they're right or wrong, but this is another personal point that I was looking for, what you thought, what was right or wrong about the judgment criteria they employed, and then thinking about hopefully you added some of your own feelings about the product, whether you felt it was a good idea or a bad idea or whatnot. That's also saying if you've ever seen one and been able to work with one. So not everybody had that advantage. So I was interested to know if you thought this was an offensive, or defensive decision. And I wanted you to kind of justify your answer. So here in question 5, some students took a real advantage of this question to give me a good deal of information and what's really great is when you have a question like this and you write it up in a way where you give me your ideas, and then you support it with research, quotes and information from articles, and then also support it with information from the textbooks. Now, especially when, is Apple losing its innovative touch, especially after the death of Steve Jobs. Now, here is Steve Jobs is the blue ocean creator. So Steve Jobs just created one blue ocean product after another his whole lifetime. So he's really the innovator here, and I think that some students had a lot to say about this question. And you look at the new iPhone 5, and I have to say I was disappointed with it, and was not really happy with the iPhone 5. Now, I can tell their innovative touch. It doesn't really seem like a lot of their products coming out are much different than the previous version of the product. But some students who looked into it a little bit more closely were able to come up with a number of innovations and a number of examples of things that Apple's working on and things that are coming up. So this, the responses to this question were mixed. But generally, this is a great type of question where you could show me your strategic thinking, your research abilities, and connect it to a lot of the information in the textbooks or other MBA courses or instructors that you've worked with, or your personal job experiences. So with these cases, I'm really looking for, like I've said before, not a regurgitation of the information, the articles I provide you, but a really deep strategic thinking and reasoning and conclusions that you draw together to develop something that impresses me, to say, wow, this is your thinking, and the way you're laying this out and researching it and putting it together is professional. Like, people at Apple, I don't think in many cases couldn't do any better than some of the students have been doing in answering the questions to this case. And I think this case is very topical, very new case. I put this together specifically for this class. Just looking through. So that's why there wasn't a lot to read here. It's only a couple articles put together, but that's why your research is so important, because there's so much more that you can bring to this case study and bring it alive. And some people really went pretty far with this case in putting their ideas together. Some people are very passionate about Apple products, and that's why I like to see your involvement. And of course, I realize that this class is in a condensed time frame. There's a lot of work to be done, and not everybody especially those of you who are currently working full time, it's difficult to put the amount of effort that you really would like to in these cases, and I understand that. But I still want to push you and make you a better writer, a better researcher, and someone. I want to put your brain in the mode, sort of like my brain is, where everything is looked at from a strategic point of view. So you can no longer just enjoy a product or going to a store for the simplicity of just going to that store. You now, hopefully, I'm turning you into the type of person that when you see a business situation or you see a decision that a company makes, a commercial, changes in the store, the changes in their product or lineup or display, you think about it strategically and sort of, why are they doing this? What are they hoping to accomplish? And kind of critically look at the company and what they're doing. And hopefully you do this enough with a lot of companies, you start producing the strategic thinking that will help you a great deal if you run your own business, maybe help you a great deal in other coursework or classes you take in the future. Or help you a great deal in your current business that you're working for, and certain projects or things you're developing at that company. So you really sort of change your mindscape and just have your mind do all these strategic thinking and exercises every opportunity it gets. And so so that's it for the wrap up of these two cases. I hope this was helpful and informative. I look forward to our last week of class, and it almost feels like I can't wait for the regular semester to start so I could have it easy again, because this winter class is definitely a lot of work for all involved, and I appreciate everyone's efforts, and keep up the good work.